welcome everybody to our Wednesday live class. And for a change, this is a real live class, because I know we've been cheating the last few weeks, because obviously we were off sunning ourselves, obviously not in Ireland, and so what we had coming up every Wednesday for the last couple of weeks has been pre-recorded live classes. In other words, we were taking the mick, we were pretending we were live, even though we were probably lying at the swimming pool having a glass of sangria. So anyway, welcome back everybody. How is everybody keeping? Any news, any scandal, anybody pregnant, and what's the weather like around the world?
We've had a good few blossoming babies from Case Flower School.
Absolutely. And you know what? I used to often, kind of joke about this years ago, but this is actually has been proven to be true. You know that way. You know the way, like, some people may go for, I don't know, fertility treatment, IVF, whatever you want to call it. Well, Case Flower School has a higher success rate of getting people pregnant, even if you don't want to get pregnant, by the way. So we do come with a government health warning. But the amount of our students, some who were struggling, absolutely were delighted to say they have produced a baby already, or they're definitely on their way. And some of them who didn't plan on getting pregnant but were absolutely delighted to get a free bonus prize as part of doing a course here at Case Flower School. So it's brilliant. So if you don't want to get pregnant, stay away from the pollen. If you do want to get pregnant, sign up for one of our online courses. That's a great way of doing a bit of sales, Deirdre, isn't it? I think we'll start putting some posters maybe in the Coombe or the Rotunda or wherever these IVF clinics are. But the best of luck to anybody out there that is trying to have a baby. And I'm dead serious. Flowers make you happy. Flowers make you fertile, and whatever it is to do with the pollen, it gets them eggs flown. So there's a little bit of sex education. Anyway, back to the weather. What's the weather like? I have to say it's kind of mucky sort of weather here in Dublin. It's drizzly, not lashing rain, kind of drizzly, sun is not shining, but as you can see, it's warm enough. You know that way it's not actually cold.
Okay, just we are on Facebook, and a couple of people are saying Facebook is freezing a little bit. I've just put it back on.
Well, we're not freezing. We're nice and warm here, sorry.
And YouTube seems to be working perfectly. We've got a good few people watching it on YouTube, and we're on Instagram, and there doesn't seem to be any problems on Instagram yet.
What about TikTok?
So no, we because we're on the Flurry Fun group as well. Welcome back, ladies. Breda said from Duleek.
Oh.
Nor is watching in from Wales this morning.
Nora,
Trace is watching in from sunny Cork.
Right. So what's the big plan today? So during the holidays, you did see that we actually visited a farm. The farm was kind of in Dublin, Peamount, Lucan, County Dublin.
Yeah, Newcastle, is it?
Newcastle, yeah. So I don't know. It's on the border of Dublin. And husband had a contact out there, and he organised that we could scoot in. So we did do a live video, a little bit of House on the Prairie. If you did watch it, hope you enjoyed it. And we collected, well, we thought we were collecting wheat, but it ended up that we were collecting barley. So these are all the stems off the end of the barley. But also, can you pass up that bag on the floor there, Deirdre?
Yep.
During the holidays, Deirdre was also down in County Wexford, and she went to another farm with Jamie Mac, were being right cultures throughout the summer, and she got us loads of wheat. So anybody that's watching,
we're getting actually very educated when it comes to cereals.
We know all the names of the right ones now. So this is wheat. That's going to be the stalks of the barley. I'll show you now the barley in a little while. And the other stuff that we got was oats. So we've oats, barley and wheat. Now I'm not going to use the wheat today, but I'll use that another day. And what I'm planning to do is how to make a cereal, no, not a cereal killer, a cereal, Cocoa Pops, Rice Krispies, cornflakes, door wreath, okay? Using material that basically we foraged, you know that way, robbed, borrowed, whatever you want to call it. But like, again, anybody that's watching, if you're able to get wheat, you know that way, or any other cereal out there, again, put all your suggestions in the comments below. Any of that stuff can be used. So what you'll need, and I did come on live yesterday to warn you, what you need is a wire frame, and you can make these wire frames out of 2 wire coat hangers. And I do have a YouTube video. If you follow us on YouTube, Case Flower School, there is a video how to make the frame with the 2 wire coat hangers. I'm not going to show you that today. Maybe I'll pop on another day and I'll show you. The other item that you're going to need is a roll of what we call real wire, or a lot of people, probably the majority of people out there, besides Case Blair School students, they all call it mossing wire. So mossing wire or real wire, but you could use a ball of twine. Now, I kind of have things kind of a little bit organised, and it's quite dirty and messy, so I'll show you the oats and the barley in a little while. That would be especially for the dubs who don't have a clue, a bit like myself. The cultures that are watching are probably sitting there saying, sure, we're looking out at feckin' fields of it every day of the week.
Well, I'd say they have it well cut at this stage with all that good weather that we had, yes.
Exactly. The thing is not to waste anything. So I have showed you a number of weeks, like how to make the frame out of moss, out of twigs, out of Q-press branches, out of lavender stems. Like, we've used loads of different material. So today I'm going to use like the stems, as I said, off the barley. And what I have found is if you kind of go along and kind of crack it, see like what I'm doing there, it makes it a little bit more flexible, do you know, that way. I suppose it'd be like if you were having a roll in the hay. I suppose this is the sort of stuff that they roll around in the hay, dear. Do you know?
Well, I fell in it enough.
It's sticking in your arse of wood, you know, that way. So if you kind of bend it.
Sorry, I know YouTube is moving around. I'm just trying to get a better picture on YouTube. That's it now.
There
you can see what's going on.
Just makes it more bendy, that's all. So make it a little bit more bendy, a little bit more flexible. Takes the sharp edges off it, you know, the way, and you won't be finding any straw in your knickers when you get up off it. So that's what you need to do to the straw. I presume we call this straw as well. Again, correct me if I'm wrong, but as I said, it's the stalks of the barley. So get your real wire attached to your wire frame. The easiest way to do that is just kind of hook it through, and even if you make it on the coat hanger, it's going to be made exactly the same way. If you decide that you're going to use the ball of twine, you can just tie that onto it. You can just tie a double knot. Now, we do have a couple of giveaways today, Deirdre.
We do, absolutely, yes. I'm feeling very generous since we came back off holidays.
Jamie, Matt.
So,
I got a new flight book, that's what's wrong with you.
I have. So I think we'll give away the door wreath course.
Okay, that's worth a few bob.
It is worth a few pounds. Yeah,
Many of them are given away.
Well, we're on Facebook, Instagram and YouTube. So let's maybe do... Oh, somebody's ringing me. Stop ringing now, please. Let's do 2 for each.
2 for each.
So that's 6 courses.
And we'll think of a question in a little while.
Exactly.
So stay tuned. And you know the secret, obviously keep listening, because sometimes we give the hint of what the answer to the question might be. So what you're going to do is bundle together your bunches of stems, okay? And they've all been bent and flexed around. And what you're going to do then is rest them. I'm holding this up so you can see it. Like, rest them actually onto your coat hanger or onto your wire frame. And then real casual and kind of very informal, don't be too fussy about it. Get your real wire or your twine and start wrapping it around. I'm going to go around twice, you know, that way. So don't be kind of like worried. And kind of as you come around, if you want to call it the corners of the bend, you know, that way, just kind of like flex the stems to kind of make the manoeuvre around it. And that's why by kind of cracking them beforehand, I found that makes it easier. And like, that was just really, you know, trial and error. Because the very first time I did use the stems, I found it awful hard to kind of manoeuvre around the curve. And I just found this is easier. Now, the reason why I'm saying about being very casual about this is when I go to add the second bundle on, if you've watched me doing this before with moss, like one bundle of moss slightly overlaps the next bundle of moss. But like with this one, it's naturally going to be skinnier at this end, as where I've just finished is naturally going to be skinnier. So what I'm going to do is just basically overlap, you know, that way, and continue on, which means then there's going to be lots of raw edges sticking out, but I'm not worried about it. I'll fix all that later.
Tammy is watching and she says, finally I'm catching you live. Well, this is the first real live, Tammy. Eileen is sneaking in from work in Dull, Birmingham. Anne Lockery says, good morning from Glasgow Airport. She's are bloody well everywhere. And let me see. Angela Kenny.
Holidays, that girl in the airport.
Angela Kenny says it's a shitty day and that we've cheered her up. Ah, Angela.
Hey, Angela, how are you? Great to hear from you. So
again,
I'm just, while you're yapping away there, I'm just kind of adding in kind of a few more bundles just to kind of make it a little bit thicker. And what I'll end up doing then is kind of like overlapping, kind of going around on top of what I've done already.
Little Green Shed is watching in from an overcast Essex. I'd love to know what is the weather like. It's actually a bit miserable here. Like, it's a bit rainy here at the moment. Joanna says it's shite here in the UK. So yeah, we'd love to know what the weather is like and where you're watching in from, because I love to see all the different parts of the world.
To see like where everybody is watching.
And if somebody can tell us, is it straw or what is it that comes in the end of barley? So
we
we'll
were laughing. As you probably, if you've been following us on Instagram, when we were over Lanzarote, we were trying to do our little walk every day. And one lady dropped us a message to say, now the thing is, she didn't stop us when we were out, but she was obviously in Lanzarote as well, and she seen us out walking, and she said she was, stopped and was having a look, and her son was saying, come on man, don't be scared, and she was saying, oh, there's the girls off Case Blair School, and of course we were arranging that she didn't come over and have the chats. Now again, I'm kind of working around, but don't worry about the raw edges sticking out. I'm just adding in a few more just to make it a little bit thicker.
Gina is watching from Normandy and it's lashing over there. It's Heavenly Flowers says it's grey. It's moist and grey. Debbie says it's raining in Victoria in Australia. It's Barley says it's dull in Castle Dawson. Nora says it's cloudy in Wales. Oh, it's barley straw. So there you go.
Barley straw. Right, so we were right.
So that's Bernice is telling us that. We were right.
Yeah, because my husband, and he's a culture and he should have known better. He told us it was winter wheat. And when I brought it home and I was kind of making it up into little bunches, Mum says to me, I don't think that's wheat, she says. She says, that has the little hairs coming out the end of it. She says, I think that's barley. And I said, no, Tom said it's winter wheat. And she's all right, anyway. So anyway, he was wrong.
He was wrong. There you go. So that's when a cattle farmer and what do they call a dairy, or a wheat farmer, or cereal farmer, or so tillage. Is it tillage?
Farmer.
Yeah, tillage. I think it's
so
tillage.
There you go. So there's our framed, that way. And again, these are things that you could be making. And there's loads left over. And obviously I still have all the wheat stems as well. I haven't started on them
Janette,
yet.
could you make an autumnal wreath or a Christmas wreath on that straw base?
That's what I was just going to say.
Okay.
So for any of the coochies out there that are able to get loads of this stuff here, that way, any of the barley straw, oat straw, wheat straw, or any type of straw, is you could be making up loads of these bases and they'll do you then throughout the year, whether it be for your autumnal wreaths, your Christmas wreaths, your spring wreaths, or whatever it is. And obviously I presume if they're kept kind of dry and airy, that way they will last forever. So I'm going to put that aside because I will use it again.
And talk about the autumnal wreaths, we had a huge response to the autumnal course.
Lots of people want to do it. So it's kind of 50-50 on evening or weekend. So if you weren't tuned in yesterday, we were just asking the followers here. Obviously we're running a Christmas workshop this year, Christmas Door Wreath, a live Christmas Door Wreath workshop, okay, where you'll actually come in real life so that I can give you a clip around the year, and you're going to make your own Christmas door wreath. But a lot of people were asking about making an autumnal door wreath. So we've decided to do one in October. We haven't got a date organised, okay? But we would need to know, would you prefer it as an evening class or would you prefer it as a weekend class, as in a Saturday or a Sunday? So again, in the comments, if you could give us a little bit of feedback, if you are interested, which one would you prefer, just so that we can organise.
And some of the messages yesterday was, they didn't want to have to go to the bother. They want to make their wreath, but they didn't want to have to go to the bother of getting all the stuff and buying the stuff. And they were like, if we can just supply it all, they'll make it. And I said, well, that's exactly the way it'll work, is that we'll supply everything and they'll go home with their door wreath.
Okay.
Was just somebody there. Una, it's 5 a.m. in Alamosa, Colorado, and she woke up to puddles of rain. So we're not the only ones getting the rain.
Big welcome. Okay, so this is the barley, okay, that we actually salvaged ourselves. So everything that you've seen on the video, House on the Prairie, etc. This was what we foraged. So what we just did was I cut the tops off, and you can see I just wrapped a little bit of wire, a little bit of twine around the end of it. You wouldn't get away without doing it, but for a live class, it just makes it more, I suppose, consistent. It's easier. Everything goes smoother when I have them made into little bundles, okay? So that's what the barley looks like, and these were the hairs coming out the end of it that my mum was describing, because as I said, my husband was calling this winter wheat, okay? So we've showed you the wheat earlier on. Now I'm not sure if that was summer wheat or winter wheat.
That was spring wheat, he told me.
Spring wheat.
Yeah, spring wheat. Wheat. Oh, now, Jesus.
You got this in Wexford.
I got this in Wexford from the same farmer as the wheat.
Okay.
And
so
this is
the
oats.
For porridge.
The rest of the field was going to Flavins.
Oh, there
Yeah.
you go. So this is, so you know that advertisement for Flahavan's porridge, and your man makes out it's all a big secret. Did you ever watch the ad and the noise comes and he doesn't
That's
tell
it.
you? Well, this is obviously the Flahavan's oats, okay? So again, I have it prepared. So all I did was, there was kind of like grassy pieces on the end, but I just kind of pulled them off. So I just bunched together, you know, that way, a couple of stems, you know, it's completely up to you. These are the little grasses there, you know, that way, so I'll be cutting them off anyway. So just bunch together a couple of stems. You can make it as chunky or as heavy or as light or as skimpy as you want, okay? So just kind of bunch them together like that. That's all I did. And then, because the
Barley,
I'm getting the names right. Because the barley is kind of very floppy, I already bunched that into little bunches already. I then kind of placed one, you see, on top of the other, held it together, trim off the ends, and you could gather them all up off the floor, and again, they can all be used in your wreaths. And then using the reel wire, which I actually find the easiest, okay, I just wrapped it all together. So just kind of wrap that around about a half dozen times and cut the wire. You know that
I'm laughing. Teresa's saying a weekend would probably work best for those who are working, and they might be more inclined to have a few gins afterwards.
Absolutely. The Christmas one, you see, we're doing mulled wine and mince pies. Now, I don't know what we're going to do for the autumnal one. Porridge buns? Maybe something healthy, because everybody's going to be losing weight. You're not supposed to talk about losing weight now. Fat shaming and all the rest. But anyway, we'll think of something healthy anyway. Slimline tonic for the gin. So there you can see, there's all the little bunches. I made them all up this morning. I have about 40 of them there in front of me. But it depends on how chunky you want to make your dough wreath. I'm going to make mine kind of quite chunky. So just push them kind of all over to one side. If anybody has any questions at all, put them in the comments. Deirdre can call them out, and hopefully we'll be able to answer them for you.
Yeah, so Heavenly Flower says, are gins during it? Maybe not after it?
Absolutely. Well, I always find the more alcohol you drink, the more creative you get.
We always find that from the hens parties, don't we?
Definitely find that at the hens parties, exactly. So what we're going to do, attach the wire on again. Now I could have just left it attached from when I finished making it, okay, just out of habit. I always cut it, and the raw bit of wire that was left over, I just kind of stick it down into the straw. So I'm just going to hold the raw piece of wire at the back here with my thumb, okay, and wrap the wire around the same spot 2 or 3 times, and normally you kind of find that attaches it back on again, and you're ready to start. And a little tip for you, keep that kind of roll short. Don't unravel loads and loads of it, like basically unravel it as you go around, okay? Now, this was a 12-inch wire frame. They do come in different sizes. Most flower shops sell them, and if you're making it out of the co-hanger, it depends on the co-hanger, you can extend onto it. But like, you can buy these any size. I find a 12-inch is a good one. Now, if you find when you're making up the bunches, you get a lot less bunches than I got, okay? Well, what you can actually do is place the material directly onto the frame, do you know that way? And that way then, your wreath, your dough wreath, will turn out, obviously, a 12-inch dough wreath. But what I'm going to do, because I've loads of them, is I'm going to place mine on a 45-degree angle. Now, it'll take a lot more stuff, but it makes the wreath, you see, that little bit bigger. And personally, I think a bigger dough wreath looks much nicer. So the end where I wrapped the wire around, now again, if there's anything you don't understand here, just put the question in the comments, Deirdre will call it out. But remember, we're going to be giving away, is it 6 dough wreath classes?
6 dough wreath classes, yeah.
Okay.
2 for Facebook, 2 for Instagram, and 2 for YouTube. I think there is actually, it could be more, yeah.
5 or 6 different styles of dough wreaths for all throughout the year, you know that way. Also, there's no material supplied with it, and it's online, you know that way. But again, that's going to be the prize today. We have to think of a question.
We have to think of a
Maybe we
question.
could ask them where were we on holidays, because they wouldn't have a clue.
They wouldn't have a clue
They'd
where we
never
were.
have a clue where we were on holidays.
Yeah, so maybe that's the question
that's
then.
The question. So if you answer in the comments, we're just going to randomly pick 2 from Facebook, 2 from Instagram, and 2 from, where else are you?
YouTube. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so place the bunches on a 45-degree angle, and then your reel wire wraps around 2 or 3 times in the one spot to hold it on, okay? So then what you do is kind of like a little trick I find is pull the wire slightly on an angle to my right hand side, and then get your second bunch and slightly overlap it, okay? And do the same thing. So wrap the reel wire around 2 or 3 times, and then just kind of slightly pull it to the right hand side. Pick up your third bunch, slightly overlap it, wrap the wire around 2 or 3 times, and pull it slightly over there on an angle. and then you pick up your fourth bunch, and if you can get the idea, you just keep going around. But to make it a little bit even chunkier, so see the way these pieces are coming out on an angle, is if ever so often you then place a bunch, you see, kind of down onto the frame, to the middle inside, if you want to call it. Again, that just makes it an extra bit chunkier. And you only need to do that about every third or fourth kind of bunch, you know that way? So I was on my fourth bunch, so I'm just adding that one into the inside. And you see the way it makes it that little bit chunkier. Now again, the trick is pull the real wire. Do you see the way that hand is kind of moving slightly over to, it's my right, because obviously you're looking at this backwards, you know the way? So pull it kind of over to the opposite side slightly, and then that gives you room to start placing in the next ones. So how are you going there?
Mary Deegan says, I say the Garda Civil in the Canary Islands would be able to answer that where were we question. Yeah, so, well, the Canary Islands is giving us a little bit of a hint as to where we were on our holidays. If you're over on YouTube, you want to start answering. I haven't seen any answers coming in yet. If you're on Facebook, then pop over to YouTube.
So again, I'm after adding in 4 more, and now I'm going to add, so that'll just kind of show you there. So to see, by adding the one then to the inside circle, as I call it, makes it chunkier, but also covers the mechanics, you know that way, so it actually makes it a lot easier. And I'll just kind of show you from the back now how big this is turning out, where you can see the size of the straw frame, but then you can see how many inches or centimetres I'm coming out past the frame. So that's obviously going to make it a lot larger. So that's what I was saying to you about making it, you know, bigger and chunkier. But it also depends on the number of bunches that you have made. So I had 40 bunches made. And normally I just say it takes 36, okay? So I just made 40 just to be on the safe side, and hopefully I won't run short. So now I'm doing the same thing. I'm adding in 4 bunches on a slant, you know that way, 45-degree angle, like one kind of like barely tipping off the other kind of as I go around. And each one, you know that way, kind of sitting on a slant with the wire, the messy part, is sticking onto the, or resting onto the straw base. I'll hold it up there, and you can see that's what I meant by the messy part, okay? So now by getting another bunch and then lying it on the inside, you see the way it covers the messy, but it also makes it chunkier, you know that way, thicker and fuller looking. Now, again, this is costing us nothing. It did cost us time, you know the way time is money as well at the end of the day, but it didn't actually cost us anything because we got the barley and we got the oats for free. Now, Deirdre did promise the farmer she was going to post this back down to me.
I did, yes, I did. I promised him that I'd post it back down to him for his front door.
Because again, if you did watch, I think it was on Instagram, can't remember what his name was, but he done a lovely
He did,
interview
yeah, I'll actually repost it.
Yeah, and
he done,
you know, he gave like a little bit, for us dubs who haven't a clue, who think we're dulces, you know that way, he kind of gave a little bit of an insight about growing and what it's used for and what happens to it and all the rest.
he even got me to taste it, and I couldn't eat porridge at the best of times now.
Never mind
Eat it raw. But yeah, no, in fairness, I think was Eugene his name, I can't remember, but he really was. He was so helpful. He came out that evening because obviously my cousin rang him to see could we pick some of it, because we wouldn't just pick without asking.
As if we would do that.
And that was the oat field, and then he brought us to the wheat field. So he got in the car with us. We drove across fields in the Jeep to get to the wheat field. Oh, that's gorgeous.
Idea what it's looking like, and just to kind of show you the back of it. Now again, you could make this onto one of the twig frames. You know that, again, I've showed you that like other weeks, and it is possible to buy twig frames in. Charlie up in Evergreen Silk Plants, he has the twig rings, but he also has straw bases. So if any of you are lazy feckers and you don't want to make a straw base, you can actually buy them from Charlie, Evergreen Silk Plants up in Ardee, County Louth. He has them, and I'm not sure the price offhand, but I know last year or last term when we were using them, very reasonably priced. You know the way.
Colette asked just about the autumnal and the Christmas workshops. Is it just the wreath making, or will there be anything else?
So we're going to do a couple of demonstrations on the day. So you yourself will only be making either the Christmas door wreath or the autumnal door wreath, depending on which class that you're on. And then we will do 2 or 3, depending on how drunk we are. You know that way. So we'll then...
How many gins you buy us?
How many bottles you bring us? So we'll do then a couple of demonstrations, you know that way. And again, with all our demonstration classes, we always give a breakdown, you know, the way what we call the recipe or the ingredients, you know, that way we make it sound like a cookery class. We give a breakdown of exactly what we're using, you know, the way the cost price of it, the selling price. We do that at the classes. I know I don't do that in the live classes, but we do that actually at the classes. And also where you can buy the material. So we just say I was using a particular item from Evergreen Plants. I say, right, you'll be able to get that off Charlie. They're €5, and this is what it sells at. Actually, talking about Charlie, is he on today?
I haven't seen him yet.
So we're planning. He actually doesn't know this yet. He did send us an invite over the summer. He didn't know we were on our holidays, but he sent us an invite to come up and see his new premises. So we're planning on going next Tuesday morning.
Yeah, I think we're going to go
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
He doesn't know that yet, you know, that way. But we're planning on going up to him next Tuesday morning. And hopefully that suits him, because it suits us as well. And I know there's 1 or 2 flower farmers that are on the way, and we're planning on popping into them as well. Now we'll obviously do everything live, you know, that way. So we'll video everything on Instagram and on Facebook, you know what I mean. So you'll be able to kind of like join in. Now the great thing about Charlie up in RD is he is open to the public. So if you want to buy like small quantities, you know, that way, and you want to get your stuff. Now when I say it's wholesale, he might be a little bit more expensive than say big flower wholesalers. But big flower wholesalers, you have to buy large quantities of the materials, you know, that way. So but still, like, it's very reasonably priced. And I know, if you remember, before we broke up for the summer, we did have a gorgeous delivery from O'Neill's in County Laois, was it?
Loud, I think we are, yeah.
I can't remember yet. I did a
Or
little video on them.
or somewhere. It's up North County Dublin, I think, yeah.
Actually, see one of them lovely twig rings there that he has. And we will use up these items again, just to let you see how it's going so far. So these were some of the twig rings from O'Neill's in, I can't remember, County Louth or County Laois, you know, that way. And that's another one of them there. So you could use any of these as base, you know, that way, if you don't want to make the straw base, you know. But I use these kind of like as part of the autumnal demonstration classes and the Christmas demonstration classes. I'll be using all them items as well. Now, when you get to this part is important. So you could see there, I just kept going and going and going. It was all the same, right? But when you come to where your ending is meeting your beginning, you kind of have to tuck it in under the waistband, you know, that way. So it's a bit like kind of lifting up your waistband and trying to tuck yourself in, you know, that way. So that's what I have to do with kind of like any of the raw stems now. So even though I'm leaving the flat on the table, that's actually what I'm doing. I'm kind of like just lifting up my waistband, tucking this kind of in underneath, and then getting the wire to wrap around it. And when you're wrapping the wire around, try to avoid flattening them beginning pieces, you know, that way, like where they're nice and fluffy, all the oats are sticking out, you know, don't go and flatten them down.
O'Neill's is in County Louth, they are.
Thanks a million, thanks a million. And if somebody maybe has a link to them, they might actually put the link in the comments there, just make it easy for us, or even their website address. And also do the same for Charlie in Evergreen, or if there is any other place watching
garden centres selling anything like this around the country, yeah, please let us know.
We're all about sharing, you know, that way. Our big motto here is collaboration, not competition, you know, that way, where there's enough work there to go around for everybody. Some people have a little bit of a hissy fit, as we call it, you know, that way.
And actually, Janette, yesterday I had an email from a garden centre down the country. I won't say yet where exactly yet.
Do I know it?
Well, I don't know. I haven't. But anyway, they were looking for us to come do a Christmas demo with them, which is what we do. We do go into garden centres to do a demo, and we demo what the garden centre are selling. Yeah. So if you're a garden centre or your local garden centre wants us to go and do a demo, tell them to get in contact with us. The dates do be limited, because obviously November, December, just be busy time for us. But yeah, so keep an eye out. So if you're down in Cork or you're in Kerry or any of those places,
we'll obviously advertise what garden centres we're going to be in.
Yes.
And then you can kind of come along on the day. And most of the garden centres do fill you with mince pies and mulled wine for the Christmas courses. It's always great crack.
This is it. And they normally raffle off what we make.
And if we're there the night before, I tell you, we always have an all-nighter, you know, that way. So like garden tea to be great fun. So
Just Kathleen was asking about the module 1. She said
just
yes.
2 seconds.
Go on.
I'm just kind of showing here, like where I'm finishing off the last pieces, and I kind of call it, you've heard me saying this before, wiggle and wangle, okay? So like wiggling the wire kind of in between the material, do you know that way? Just so that I'm not kind of like flattening anything down. I can kind of get the wire in there to kind of cover off, like kind of like the beginning or the end piece, and that's again just to show you what it looks like at the back, you know that way. And then the last thing what I do then is I cut off the wire that's left over, give myself about 3-4 centimeters, and the bit of wire, that 3-4 centimeters, that actually gets tucked down into the straw frame to hold it in place. And that's what it's looking like.
It's gorgeous. It's absolutely
nice,
lovely.
Now I'm not finished. I want to put a bow on it, okay? So I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, they're just little spare bits.
Somebody just said, why are you using them in little bunches that they didn't see the beginning of it?
Rewind to the beginning and you'll be able to watch it all. There's a reason for it, okay? So I actually was very good at the maths here today.
You actually were.
I said I had 40 pieces made up, 40 bundles, and I said it normally takes me 36, 37, 38, 39, 40. I'm a fucking genius, I am. I don't know how I failed maths in school, do you know that way? So I wasn't far off. I actually was bang on. It takes 36 bunches to make it, and I've made 40 just to be on the safe side, because that's actually my very, very first, so I can make a wish, Barley and Oats Door Wreath. I've never made one before using that material, so this is kind of a first for me as well. But before the summer, do you remember Aldi? I have it here on the floor, sorry if I'm bending down. Aldi had all these, what would you call it, bunches of twine.
Yeah, little it was actually.
Little.
Yeah.
Okay, so somebody tagged little there. So now they probably haven't got it now, do you know that way? But we told you all to go and buy it because there's other stuff on the same day, raffia and hessian ribbon.
Yeah.
And it was all a bargain price, you know that way. Now, when I unravelled it, it was a little bit untidy, and Deirdre said to me, dip in water, do you know that way? So what I did was I cut a couple of different lengths of it, and I had them all the same length. I cut 3 of them the same length, and I dipped them in water, took them, went like that to straighten them up, and of course gave myself a fucking shower at the same time. But just to kind of show you, what I did was I put 3 pieces together at the same time when I made this bow. But for yourself, like just to show kind of simple, was, now mine was wet, so I was able to kind of maneuver it better. But I basically made what we call the breast cancer bow. Do you see like that with the ribbon? So there's kind of our long pieces at the end, and like our hook kind of around the neck, and then I brought that in and I tied it together with a piece of twine, a piece of hand tied twine, and then I wrapped a wire around it. So I have one kind of made. So this, it's actually still damp, it is, you know that way. So I wet that twine, I suppose, just so that I could maneuver it a little bit better. And you can see the way I had 3 layers, you see, of ribbon twined together at the same time. I did tie it in the centre with a little bit of the hand tied twine, and then I just wrapped a wire around it, because I'm now going to stick the wire down into the frame, okay, for hanging it up. So you were asking about the module 1 there.
Yeah, no, Kathleen wanted to know. She says you were talking yesterday about the funding. She says, would she send us an email to get the form, or what does she do?
That was mad yesterday. I did mention about the funding and the amount of emails that we got. And after me telling you I was after emptying my email box yesterday, I filled it all back up again. But listen, we were delighted to get the emails. Probably the handiest thing is if you drop us an email, because we have it all explained, okay, how you go about the funding. So we don't actually give you the form, but we tell you where to go and get the form. But we also pep talk you what you need to say, what you need to put in the form. But basically, if you're already claiming a disability,
any Department of Social Welfare,
payment, you will be able to. You are entitled to €1,000, which means module 1 costs you absolutely nothing, and you still have €200 credit that you can use on another course if you want to. You know that way. So that's the bow there. Kind of was keeping it simple. I didn't want it to take too much from the frame.
You actually don't notice it that much on it.
You don't really notice it that much, yeah. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to hook kind of a little piece through here, and this is going to be my little hanger for hanging it up on the
Eileen asked, would we go over to Birmingham to a garden centre and do a demo over there? Absolutely, Eileen. And we're actually heading to Birmingham in October for Florex, so we might meet up with you that weekend.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so we haven't booked flights yet. That's on my list today.
So there we go. Obviously get the 2 ends the same length as I did. Just go. Actually, I'm going to leave these loose because do you know what the handiest way is when you actually tie them together, when you actually put them on the door, rather than me making the loop now and it's too long or it's too short or whatever. So the farmer Eugene in County Wexford can adjust these kind of himself.
Absolutely. I think I better call out my winners.
All right, absolutely. So we have 6 winners today. What was the answer?
So the answer was
Lanzarote. So we have 6 winners today for the door wreath making kit. We're going to give 2
course,
away.
not
door
kit.
Wreath making, course, better than the kit. It's worth more money. And 2 on Facebook, 2 on Instagram, and 2 on YouTube. If your name is called out, send us an email, info@flowerschoolireland.com, and we send you the information how to actually get your class.
And you can do it today, we'd really appreciate it, because then just to get it done.
Do it before 5 o'clock this evening, because tomorrow we're going to be back on live tomorrow at 12 o'clock again. Not sure what our plan is. I do have a fresh flower delivery coming tomorrow, so if it's here in time, I'll do fresh flowers for 12 o'clock, and if not, I'll do something else. So join us tomorrow at 12 o'clock. Here's the winners.
Okay, the winners on Facebook is Bernie Stewart and Gina Power. The winners on Instagram is Emma Floss and Mary Deegan Kinsella. And the winners on YouTube was Eleanor Lynch and Deirdre O'Donovan.
And one more thing, tomorrow over on the Kay's Flowery Fun group at 1 o'clock, we actually have the chats with Denise Inspired. Remember I mentioned it yesterday about the marketing and content creation course. So again, I said Malahide yesterday, it's actually Rahini. So it's Rahini on Sunday. Deirdre and myself are heading to that course. I know there's a lot of the students are going as well, but just anybody, this is only for people that are in business, by the way, or that are thinking of going into business or running
anyone
a small
that
business.
or is running social media and you don't know what to post, well, you will learn what to post.
So listen in tomorrow at 1 o'clock over on Kay's Flowery Fun group, also on Instagram, and we'll have Denise. And if anybody wants to ask any questions about the course, it's nothing. We're not doing the course, it's Denise doing the course.
No, we're going to the course.
We're going to the course, so we're going to learn a little bit ourselves. So 12 o'clock tomorrow here for your normal live class, free live class, just feeling generous this week. You never know, there could be more giveaways tomorrow. And 1 o'clock for the chat with Denise. Listen, thanks a million everybody for joining us today. Any chance of a little share?
Yeah, we'd
Go on, any chance of a little share there. Go on, share this video. Give us a thumbs up. If you're watching it on the replay, make sure to interact. And again, if you've any questions, put them in the comments. I respond to absolutely everybody, as you know, so I'll answer all your questions. So good luck. Goodbye. See you. I'm off to make me bowl of porridge, I am.
The birds are eating it.